Hey, welcome back, everybody. I'm Rufio Phoenix, and welcome back to your host with the most. I've got another epic topic to talk about with you. Today, we're going to be talking about addiction to comfort. There's a lot of people on YouTube right now going over the concept that we need to embrace discomfort and we need to reject comfort in modernity. I have a lot of things to say about this that will probably trigger some of you a little bit. All right, so let's begin. So, addiction to comfort. You're addicted to comfort. Embrace discomfort. Comfort is not an addiction. It does not release a significant mind-altering chemical into the brain that would inhibit any form of neural response to an addictive state. Heroin would do that. Cocaine, methamphetamines, ketamine, cigarettes, tobacco, nicotine. Yeah. The worst one to try to quit is cigarettes, by the way. Did you know that statistically proven heroin is easier to quit than a cigarette? Yeah. You're not addicted to comfort. You're addicted to being happy. Okay? You're happy being happy. Be thankful that God gave you a little bit of a reprieve on your comfortable bed and with a pillow and blanket. Comfort. Jesus loves you. Anyway. All right, so why do people think that there are a mass multitude of individuals who are, in fact, according to these alleged accusers, addicted to comfort? All right. They think this because they think people are flat out lazy. The truth is that, yes, while some people are lethargic and some people are not so pro bono, go out and do things, they're more of a couch potato, that's normal. That hasn't changed since 100 years? It's been a century now, and this hasn't changed. You know, and I really don't think going back to living in a stone age or living in the Arctic in some ice castle with a bed made of a brick of ice, I don't think that sounds interesting either. Yeah, addicted to comfort. All right, sure. Let's hypothesize using me as the specimen for a minute here. Let's go ahead on a hypothesis and say I'm addicted to comfort. I have comfortable chairs, I have comfortable lighting, I have comfortable mood settings, I have comfortable coffee, it's called espresso. Remember, fools, if you don't drink coffee, you're not drinking good stuff yet. You haven't had the good stuff till you've had a nice coffee, a nice espresso made out of Cafe Bustelo. Just saying. Anyway. People believe that people are addicted to comfort because they see the world and they perceive the world as insignificantly inferior to themselves in their own thinking. This is false logic. I'm going to go out here on a whim and say this sounds like something the laws of logic would not tolerate, one of which being the law of non-contradiction. So, let's go on a whim here and just assume that people like that who assume that people are addicted to comfort. The people who assume that you are addicted to comfort are the same people who, in fact, are living very lavish, comfortable lifestyles. And if they aren't, they're complaining because their life is such a painful life that the rancid milk they keep still in their refrigerator is probably out of date and probably tastes like mold. And that's probably what they have with their cereal. They call that discomfort. And it is, in fact, very painful. You know, there's an anime called Naruto that came out in my generation that focused on a lifestyle like this, and the main character, Naruto Uzumaki. Interestingly enough, his student tree granted his tutors, his mentors, both Kakashi Hatake and the third Hokage, to come in and look at his living space. His living space was a disaster before Hinata and before he graduated into the Chunin exams. None of that's really real, or it's pretty posthumous at this point, dead in the water. But let's go ahead and just say for a minute here, Naruto lived potentially one of the most uncomfortable lifestyles that even you, if you're living in a lifestyle similar to that, you haven't lived that kind of pain yet. Your parents both didn't get assassinated. You didn't grow up being hated by your entire village because of something you had no clue about. You never had to drink spoiled milk on a regular basis. If you were granted a nice thing, it was a cheap bowl of ramen and called it special because it tasted good. I want to focus on that right there. It tasted good to Naruto. Now, let me imagine here for a minute here that Naruto's no longer important here, but we're focusing on the it tasted good. Okay? So if you go to someone's apartment and they have spoiled milk and they keep drinking it and they say, well, it tastes good. Well, it tastes good to them, doesn't it? I guess. They must like penicillin. You know? But on the other hand, most human beings won't look at a gallon of spoiled milk and say, I'm going to drink that because I won't get sick. No, I think only the most stupid of Republican parties would even say that. And real talk, I don't see them drinking piss-ass spoiled milk ever. So let's go ahead and just say they like what tastes good. This is called comfort. If comfort is not acceptable, why does anyone have it? Because comfort is a therapeutic and is an essential value to the health and mental stability of any living human being on this planet, probably since the 1800s or 1600s, maybe earlier, the 1200s. This is not new. People were living in castles full of comfort. People used to live that way in the 12, 13, 1400s. 1500s, 1600s roll around. We're edging our way closer to the Victorian era. Guess what? They had comforts then too. Yes. Oh, they lived very differently. No, they did not. They just didn't have cell phones. You know, so... or the internet. They probably had it a little bit better than we have it nowadays, just because of those two. But let's go ahead and let's go out and say, if you say that people are addicted to comfort, what you're saying is that you, in fact, are uncomfortable with your living environment and that you could choose to make changes, but you are choosing discomfort as though it were some form of cyber religiously of zealousy, zealot-based, just over assumptuousness. You're presumptuous and presuming that you know when in fact you are so horribly blind. If you don't want comfort, don't have anything. Live minimalistically. Have maybe 3 sets of clothes and no blankets, no pillow, just a cot. Have maybe a stove and like no furniture, no heating arrangement, no oil, no electricity, no internet. You want to live like that? Sounds fun, doesn't it? No, I didn't think so. I don't think anybody wants to live like that now that we have access to all these new things. You know, I'm sure there are some people who do. I mean, like, sure, yeah, you got the Amish. The Amish live without electricity, but even then, the Amish, when they can't heal somebody within their limits of medicine, they are limited by the technology of their time. They resort to American medicine, or English medicine as they call it. I know this because I've hung out with the Amish. They live in my area. So let's go out on a limb here and say even the Amish have an inkling for what is comfortable and discomforting. The discomfort comes from your religious practices and your worldview of it all must be made of wood. Anyway. Dear Amish, I must say, your food is superb. Please churn more butter. The world needs more butter. Anyway, the Amish live in pretty uncomfortable situations, but they make the most out of it and turn it comfortable. My point that I'm resting with on that ending disclaimer, in that ending where they make things into comfort, that point alone is a key fundament. Humans won't just traverse discomfort limitlessly. It won't happen infinitesimally. It won't. Humans will find comfort in the uncomfortable and make it more comfortable. This has never changed. This is entire human species long proof. I don't need a citation for that. The whole species, over the course of 2,025 years post Jesus' death, does the same damn thing throughout time. So when people argue that people are addicted to comfort, I disagree. I say they're therapeutically engaging with their psyche, meaning they're making this noodle up here feel a little bit more like doing what it does and braining things into existence, or solving problems while laying comfortably on your bed in the morning when you're trying to wake up to a nice hot cup of joe. Comfort is a good thing. Without comfort, we would go to our education and we wouldn't eat before the education and thus collapse mid-exam because we ran out of energy without comfort. Comfort gives us energy. Comfort gives us healing. Comfort gives us access to things that a lot of people in the, what I call the DPS category, the damage per second category, think that you need to be so decisively discerning and so uncomfortable in your life that everybody starts asking, are you ever comfortable? Well, I've been there. I had a girl who asked me, are you ever comfortable? And I had to tell her, no! And honestly, now that I think about it, I'm actually more comfortable than I've ever been in my lifetime. And I'm single. So, yes, comfort can be a presence that may seem unorthodox, but comfort is necessity. Comfort, food, drink, water, a safe place to eat, live, and sleep, and go to the bathroom is a necessity. So stop writing off these necessities as addictions. Look, I'd understand if you said, well, cocaine's an addiction. Yes, you're fucking right. Coke is a goddamn addiction. Cocaine is a fucking addiction. Now, let's talk about sleep. Sleep is comfortable, and it happens every night. You might wake up a little groggy, you might not. It's different for everybody. Some people do sleep, other people don't sleep at all. My point being, the comfort. Without that comfort, you would not sleep, you would not eat, you would not drink, you would not pee, you would not poop, you would develop gallbladder stones the size of a golf ball, and you wouldn't be able to get rid of them because if you did, you'd have to give birth to it through your cock. So, no, discomfort is not the healthy answer. Red Pill needs to understand that being in favor of the truth does not mean being in favor of self-sabotaging or self-masochistically mutilating your body out of a comfortable lifestyle. The damn MGTOW needs to hear that. I for one, am a fan of MGTOW. I personally don't really align with all the pills all at once or one of the pills at one time. I kind of just pick and choose from which one I want the most, and usually that's green pill, the anarcho-primitive, the primitivism pill, the one that talks about primal instincts and stuff like that and how your natural sense of nature is important to you. I like that one. That one makes sense to me because that seems to be some hidden truth that even the red pill don't want to talk about. So, comfort. Isn't it addiction? It is not an addiction. It is simply a part of your everyday human experience. You're welcome. Now, let's talk about discomfort. Why do people embrace discomfort so much? People like to talk about embracing discomfort as it builds character. It builds a sense of confidence. It does this. It does that. No, it does not. Have you ever been to a Friday Night Magic the Gathering tournament? Ugh. I dare you to say you like to embrace discomfort and then sit there playing mono red cheap popper goblins for a commander tournament at a CEDH level against the whole tournament hall being nothing but Memnarch. I'd love to see how you feel about that at the end of 5 hours. You probably wouldn't like it terribly much. And I know it, because I've done it too. You know? These people, they act like they fucking know. They act like they fucking know, and they are so horribly blind. There's a song by Device called You Think You Know. I implore you to go listen to that after this video because it will give you such insight to the world around you. A lot of people back when Device first came out from David Draymond Disturbed, when Device came out, they didn't like it. They thought it was too synthy. They thought it was too this, too that. Oh, it's too mainstream. I don't give a fuck. It's Device and it's by David Draymond. Disturbed, the main character of Disturbed, wrote that shit. I like it. You should too. Discomfort. People embrace discomfort for a variety of different reasons. Most of it is some kind of endurance training. Discomfort is often given to military operatives or military initiatives to be able to teach them to survive in hostile, harsh environments and situations. To be able to thrive and get back home unscathed. They are trained to do this and put down anything with a bullet in their path. So, again, I'd like to go out on a whim here and say, putting a bullet in anyone is probably psychologically very discomforting. Because people come back from Iraq with PTSD and mental issues from having gone and done a tour once. No, discomfort is not good for you. Discomfort, though, is embraced by a lot of people because they think that it will grant them more from what they already have. I don't agree with that. See, I think we already have it inside of ourselves. We just have to unlock it. You know, it's not a matter of, oh, well, I have to suffer this long to go out there and be the strongest man on the planet. Whew, Mr. Universe. You know, it's not like that. There are a lot of people who think that. Well, how do you think Arnold Schwarzenegger got that strong? He ate fried chicken. Bitch, that's a comfort food. I know what Arnold Schwarzenegger did. He ate a buttload of fried chicken, worked out religiously, pumped that iron, and got big. He ate comfort food as a means to sustain his muscle gains. Comfort food. Fried chicken from KFC, bro. Oh, comfort is so bad. No, it's not. It's not. It's not. Comfort is a good thing. Without comfort, you would live the most miserable, meaningless, abominative life that you would pray that only God could put you out of your misery, and even then he would make you wait for 100 years, a full century. That sounds discomforting, doesn't it? But that's, of course, a world without God, and this is not a world without God, so rest assured there will be comfort, there will be home, there will be food, there will be comfort food, there will be music, there will be lighting, there will be... Rest assured, you will have a good time on this earth. You just have to know it for yourself because you already own it. You just don't want to believe it yet because you don't see it. You haven't brought it to yourself yet. You haven't gone out to go get it and bring it back. That's the discomfort that you're looking for me to answer for. That's not discomfort. Do you think going out on a spending spree at the mall is discomforting? Oh, man. No. The discomfort there is that you have to spend your money. Okay, that's it. No, most men don't actually want to spend their money, so like that's why it's discomforting, I think. But anyway, my point being, thus, discomfort is really not a good thing. It's bad for your brain. It's bad for your body unless in small increments and small amounts in small repetitions. And without that, dead. You know, without comfort, without a provided sense of leisure, or without opulence, your brain loses its sense of self. How can I explain that? Sure. Psychology has a few doctrine that talk about this in philosophical ideation, one of which is by Sigmund Freud, the other is by Carl Jung, I believe. And another is, hold on. We got gas, boys. Hold on. All right, we're good. So, one is by Carl Jung, the other of which is another. The philosophy that we're talking about is is by Sigmund Freud and Carl Jung. The concept is that we all have two sides to ourselves. The Japanese believe we all have three sides to yourself. Two sides, and this is by Sigmund Freud and Carl Jung. The two-sided factor would be, here's your side that that you show the world at large. Wherever you go, you're that person, you are that face. You are that character. That's you. The second self is the part of you that you keep locked away, the hidden side of you that you don't show to anybody. That's the side that seemingly the whole world wants to see. Do you think that we're just going to transform into like Dante, into like Majin Devil Trigger or something? That one of us is just going to be the Antichrist and spawn some demon form out of our own human body? God, you're crazy. No, that's a video game. Maybe in the quantum ether that might be possible, but definitely not on a third dimensional plane like Earth. That's just not going to happen, guys. You want to see a real demon? Skinwalkers. There you go. Real demon on planet Earth. It used to be called Wendigo. It's also called the Fae. It's called a lot of things in Celtic mythos. It's not just reserved to the Navajo. It used to also haunt the Celts back in the day. But anyway, let's leave that behind. The two selves, the self that you show the world at large and the self that you keep locked away. The belief is that the self that you keep locked away is the self that you call your faux self, the place where you keep all your hidden cool stuff that you do in life that you otherwise don't think is really that cool, that everybody else thinks is pretty cool. Well, that's the faux self. Basically my YouTube channel. Then you have your real self, the character in which produces the content. The real self is the self that you show to people at large, the self right here giving you this speech. And it talks to people in regards that make sense, in situations and analytics that otherwise can produce information that is digestible and palatable to the mind. That is the true self. Now, in Japanese philosophy, there are three selves. The self you go to work with, the self you go to home with, the self you go to have love with. I don't know how true all this is because I think they're missing one. I think they're missing that faux self part. But either way, the mind is characterized universally in a rational, fragmented, fractal pathology. Without that, you can't just say, oh, well, I'm human. Because you'd be perfect. If you only had one mind for the rest of your life and that was the only mind you needed, the only voice in your head you needed, the only aspect of self-appreciation you have or are receiving, then yes, you would turn to it, wouldn't you? But that's because you're uncomfortable. Just go out and ask somebody, hey, am I doing this right? Yes! You might get a yes, you might get a no. That's the lighter of the discomfort that is more comfortable. At least you can go out and ask questions and interact with the rest of your vibrant species. Okay, so, and since you all have a sentient cognition level that is capable of producing cognitive speech, verbatim, verbal, words, language, and interpreting it on such a level that requires a sense of comfort. It's kind of like saying, yes, I'm going to build a PC and I'm not going to give it a cooling unit. You're going to cook your machine so quick. That's what I think happened to a lot of people in America. They chose discomfort and cooked their brain. And that's why they all go around saying, oh, we're so cooked. You chose discomfort. You basically built yourself a gaming PC and didn't add any cooling components or thermo component. You didn't do any of that and cooked your machine on the first try. That's what you did. That's why you should have embraced comfort, bro. You should have put in a couple of fans and a water cooling unit, because at least your PC would never overcook and your brain wouldn't be a fried scrambled egg. Anyway, I think I've said what I have to say. Peace, stay awesome, ninja, drink coffee, be awesome, be excellent. I'll catch you in another video. Peace out.